Welcome back, everybody, to more from the SAbleyes. I'm here today with Jordan. How are we doing, Jordan?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That is good, and we're taking a look at an old favourite, in quotation marks, that has had a bit of a facelift, and that is Quagsire, Naganadel, QuagNag, Naga boys. And this time, it's featuring the new Keldeo GX, which is actually a really strong Pokemon. Saw some play in World Championships. But with Quagsire and Naganadel, we're probably going to be able to power it up a little bit more quickly than we're used to. And yeah, we should be able to take this to some success. We'll see how we go.
This is the main card that's generating some hype for QuagNag all of a sudden. Keldeo GX. When we come out of the World Championships, people are kind of looking at this card saying, this kind of beats all the decks that were in top 8. Why don't we just play Keldeo? And then the Keldeo decks that we saw at the World Championships, they were very slow. Not necessarily bad, but they're not really the way that most people like to build decks. So this is kind of the most aggressive Keldeo deck you'll find these days.
It certainly is, and let's talk about Keldeo very quickly. It's got the Pure Heart ability, which is the thing that makes it good. It prevents all effective attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by Pokemon GX or EX. It means that all of the big attackers in the format are not going to be able to take knockouts on Keldeo, apart from Reshizard with 6 energy, which is going to be able to go through it, which means it's going to be able to sit in the active and comfortably take multiple turns to get rid of. Your opponent kind of needs to run a dedicated non-GX attacker or another way of getting around Keldeo in order to take a knockout. Obviously, things like Power Plant are going to stop Keldeo in its tracks, but if your opponent doesn't play Power Plant, then you might just win.
And that's exactly what makes Keldeo so powerful. I mean, not many decks are playing good non-GX attackers, and if you are playing good non-GX attackers, it's not usually enough to deal with 3 Keldeos. You might be able to deal with 1, but if you're playing 3 Keldeos and you're just attacking with Keldeo every turn of the game, eventually your opponent's going to run out of ways to deal with it. And it does actually have some pretty decent attacks. Sonic Edge doing 110 and going through all of the effects of your opponent's active Pokemon means that you're never really going to have problems in a Keldeo mirror match. You're never going to have a stalemate where both players are just sitting there with the Keldeo and the active doing nothing to each other. You are going to be able to apply pressure with that Sonic Edge dealing a 2-hit KO. But the main attack that kind of catches my attention on this card is Resolute Blade GX, which has very similar text. Sorry, not similar, familiar text. So there's 50 damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon, which is something we remember quite fondly, Mitch.
Yes, Lycanroc GX was a very good card. I would say that Zoroark Lycanroc is a better deck than this one, but Resolute Blade is just as good an attack, and it means that you're going to be able to take big knockouts on those GX Pokemon that are stuck in the active without being able to attack you. Of particular note, Resolute Blade is going to be able to take out a Reshizard, so if you are knocked out by a Reshizard with 6 energy on it, you can just promote a new Keldeo, move all that energy to it, Resolute Blade, return the knockout, because they're going to have like a couple of Pokemon on the bench, it'll be fine, and then they aren't going to have any way of dealing with it. So Resolute Blade, super strong GX attack in most matchups. We obviously are going to set up our Keldeos in the active by using the Quagsire Naganadel engine. We have Quagsire with Washout, which is going to allow us to move energy from our Pokemon to the active. It also has the Hydro Pump attack, 60 plus 20 more for each water energy attached, which in this deck is going to be doing effectively base 120, which is reasonably strong. And we also have Naganadel with charging up to get energy out of the discard pile, and therefore we can move them from the bench to the active. It's important to note as well that Naganadel can potentially come up on those 3 prize turns. When you've got 3 remaining, you can do 160 damage with Turning Point, and since Keldeo is going to be able to take a knockout on a tag team reasonably easily, we might find ourselves on 3 prize cards remaining more often than we'd expect.
It's definitely a pretty strong engine, Naganadel plus Quagsire. It's why we saw it quite a lot last season, but more recently, it kind of reminds me of a more recent deck being Dark Box, which instead of running Quagsire was running Weavile GX to move your energy around. It's a very similar concept, but at first we kind of thought that this was going to be a more inconsistent build of Weavile GX. The fact that Weavile can be searched for with Cherish Ball definitely helps with consistency, but we've kind of found a way now to make Quagsire work with higher count of Pokemon communication and acro bikes. Hopefully we'll be able to actually set up relatively consistently, and if we can, I would say that the water attackers we have access to right now are potentially more threatening than the dark ones are.
Certainly are. We've got a couple of them in the deck. We've obviously got the old school Magikarp and Wailord tag team. This used to be the go-to in Quagsire and Ganondorf, particularly for its Towering Splash GX attack. If we can get 8 energy onto the field, we can potentially sweep decks like Malamar that have a ton of bench sitters with less than 100 HP. And Super Splash for 5 energy, doing 180 damage, can potentially come up clutch for us. That's going to take out a Reshizard, but it's also going to knock out things like Blacephalon. It might be able to do a solid smack to something like a Pikachu Zekrom. There's lots of ways that Magikarp Wailord can come in use, and it's got 300 HP, and that's nothing to sneeze at.
And the HP is definitely the main reason you would play this card. It's so hard to take out Magikarp Wailord. It's got the most HP in the game right now, and for good reason. Its weakness being grass is also pretty useful, as there's no huge grass Pokemon you have to look out for in the format right now. The biggest weakness of this card is probably just the fact that Mew is still a fairly popular card, so Towering Splash isn't always going to be useful to you, but when it is useful, Keldeo doing 110 damage every turn can quickly kind of wrap up the game after a Towering Splash.
Yeah, and sometimes your opponent, having forgotten that Ganondorf Quagsire is a deck, might just forget to put the Mew down, so you might be able to sneak a win here or there as well. The other water Pokemon attacker that we have is a single copy of Volcanion Prism Star. It has Sauna Blast for 3 water energy. 100 damage is pretty strong and does 20 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So it's going to be able to set up a few knockouts. One of the things about Keldeo is that Sonic Edge is just that little bit underwhelming. Sauna Blast might be able to help us set up some more favourable numbers, but it also has Jet Geyser, which is going to allow us to discard water energy from hand in order to force our opponent to switch their active with one of their bench Pokemon, and when we can turn that water energy from the discard onto an Ganondorf, onto our active with Quagsire, and we're away to go.
Jet Geyser is definitely the main use of this card. It's obviously, as you mentioned, really good for setting up your board, but in a format we're in right now where Gust is kind of hard to come by, Jet Geyser being able to push your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench is a really useful effect, but it's definitely going to be pretty interesting to see how your opponent's going to deal with the fact that it's only got 10 less HP than Keldeo GX and gives away 1 prize. So even if your opponent does have some pretty good non-GX options, you can just kind of trade evenly with them with Volcanion, and they're going to have to put in a lot of work to take this out.
They certainly will. We have one Ditto Prism, just to give ourselves those extra basics. It's one of those situations where you want to have a Wooper and a Poipole down on turn 1, and the Ditto Prism means that you've got an extra out, means you can have 2 of both, realistically. But obviously, since we don't have to fear Guzmas as frequently, used to be the real downside of the deck before rotation, Ditto is not going to be as important, but obviously when you get it down, it's super, super strong and is going to allow us to set up much more quickly. And also we have a copy of the Dene GX, because the Dene is pretty good. Dene Change is a strong ability. Drawing 6 cards is good, discarding cards is good, especially when water energy needs to go into the bin. This could potentially be a way of getting some there.
The consistency of this deck is definitely one of the main concerns, so both the Dene and Ditto are going to help out quite a bit there. The Ditto obviously is going to be more valuable than the 4th Ditto, Wooper, which is why we chose to only play the 3 Wooper and the 1 Ditto. You're pretty much always going to want to play Ditto in a deck that's running multiple different stage 1s, and this is no exception.
Certainly isn't. We'll move on to the supporters. We've got the classic 4 Lily, 4 Cynthia supporter line. Both of those supporters are super strong, and we've also chosen to go for 2 copies of Erica's Hospitality as well. Super strong supporter, and we need to get cards into our hand. Erica, Lily, and Cynthia are the 3 best cards in the game for doing that, so that seems pretty strong.
Especially when you're not running Jirachis or any of Welder Engine, something like that. You really do just want to have a solid 10 plus draw supporters that you're just going to be able to draw 1 every single turn, cycle draw supporter into draw supporter, keep finding your energy in your Pokemon search cards, and it'll give you the best chances you can of actually setting up. And once you're set up, the deck's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key. You've got to set yourself up, and the way we're going to try and do that is with a reasonably high Pokemon search engine. We've got 4 Pokemon communication. We have 21 Pokemon in the deck, so shuffling a Pokemon away is not going to be too difficult. This is the way that we're probably going to try and find Woopers and Quagsires, as well as potentially our attackers. Mysterious Treasure, we play 3 copies of that. That's going to be trying to find Poipoles and Ganadels. They're arguably the most important part of the engine because they're the way that the energy actually accelerates. So we need to find multiple of them, whereas we only realistically need to find 1 Quagsire in the early game. We'll need to find multiple Naganadel with Mysterious Treasure. And we also have opted to play 1 copy of Cherish Ball as well. Not only are we going to be able to use this to find Keldeo GX, but we can also use it to find Magikarp Wailord in a pinch, and more importantly, the Dene GX in order to Dene change.
It's definitely nice having that little bit extra Pokemon search. When you have a look at our trainer line, actually, almost every single card in this deck is tailored towards consistency, because besides the Pokemon search cards, pretty much all we've got, besides Custom Catcher, is Acrobike, and Acrobike is going to help us draw cards a little faster as well. It's going to help accelerate energy into the discard pile, which will therefore accelerate them onto the bench, and ideally it's going to increase the speed in which we're able to set up our Quagsires and the Ganadel.
Yeah, cycle cards are all in vogue at the moment. They're super strong, and discarding energy off of an Acrobike is going to be a bit of a godsend for us. You mentioned we have 4 copies of Custom Catcher. Even though we have Volcanion Prism, we want to be able to target specific cards every now and then, and Custom Catcher is going to enable us to do that. And finally, we have 3 copies of Viridian Forest. This is our stadium of choice. We want to be able to bump power plants, but most importantly, we want to be able to discard and find water energy. And Viridian Forest is probably going to be the way we are doing that most frequently.
It's definitely one of the best stadiums to synergize with Ganadel, besides maybe Ultra Space. But this deck specifically, it's the stadium of choice that's going to boost your consistency the most. It's going to allow you to get some early attacks off. And it also just allows you to thin your deck a little bit each turn, which will increase the chances of you finding those double Custom Catchers when you need them.
Certainly will. Rounding out the deck, we have 11 copies of Water Energy, but that's the list. Hopefully, if we're able to find a game to play on the ladder, we've been having a bit of trouble over the last couple of videos. Where are you, QuagNag? There we are. If we're able to find a game, hopefully we can come up against one of those Tag Team GX decks and really show off how powerful Keldeo is with its ability. And looks like, I don't know, those colours, there's a lot of different ones there, lightning, fire, and all sorts. But hopefully we're up against something like Ability Reshi, because that'll really show off the pros and cons of this list. The ability to block a GX, but let's really struggle against those non-GX Pokemon.
Yeah, Ability Reshi is definitely a pretty likely one, considering they are playing cards like Dene to indicate that lightning typing, and Ability Reshi is one of the reasons why this deck is just so strong.
Oh, it actually looks like Blacephalon.
Oh, it's Blacephalon, okay.
Right, cool.
Well, I'll stop talking about Ability Reshi then. Blacephalon is also a pretty decent matchup for us. We do need to be careful of the fact that they can use a non-GX Naganadel with a Beast Energy to knock out a Keldeo if they ever get to 3 prizes, but overall, Keldeo is going to be able to take 1-hit KOs on Blacephalon. Our own Naganadels will be able to KO their Naganadels, so as long as we're able to set up, I think we've got a pretty decent chance of winning this matchup.
Yeah, we certainly do. I've just chucked the Keldeo down at the moment. We don't want to give away the whole shop straight away. I kind of want to I want to come away one of these Pokemon in order to grab the Dene, but
yep.
you want to be able to have all of these guys on the bench all the time. I'm thinking we chuck the Wooper down and then com away the Poipole because we've got access to treasure. We're definitely going to play.
It also depends on what we get from our Acrobike. We could send a card with Viridian Forest.
I'll just Acrobike down. Well, there's an energy. Cool. There's an energy.
Maybe you should have thinned an energy, but
whatever.
Not too bad.
We can attach one and then thin another one. There we go.
We've already got plenty of energy in the discard. Coming away a Poipole isn't too bad because we are playing 4 Poipoles, unlike Wooper, we're only playing 3. Obviously, we have Ditto as well as a whole bunch of other Pokemon search cards like Mysterious Treasure. So even if we get our Dene and lose our Poipole, chances are we're going to be able to draw at least 1 Poipole from the Dene. Plus, we still have a supporter for turn, hopefully.
Well, we haven't got one just yet. We'll have to Acrobike into one. and that's a
There we go.
Cynthia. We are chucking away lots of water energy though. We've already got 4 in the bin, so I think we might be looking at playing this Pokemon Communication to grab another Poipole. Although we could realistically just hang on to this hand. We're not in any rush, and it will mean that we can attack next turn. So I kind of want to just hang on to it.
Maybe we could even get the Ditto if we wanted to. Pokemon Communication away than the Ganadel. Get the Ditto, and then maybe just hold the Quagsire for next turn. Because as long as we've got 4 Naganadels in deck, then we should be able to find it pretty easily, considering we haven't even used Mysterious Treasure yet. It's up to you whether you want to hold the Quagsire. I think it's pretty strong to hold the Quagsire, considering we've used 2 Pokemon Communications already. It seems like a fine turn one to me.
Yeah, I'm feeling quite confident here. As long as we Cynthia into a search option for Naganadel, we should be fine. There are all 4 of them in deck, so we're not worried about that. It's just a matter of whether we hit it here. We should be able to start Sonic Edging. And the best thing about Sonic Edge is that even though it only does 110, it's going to do 220 to a Blacephalon. So I'm feeling pretty happy to have the type advantage here.
We do also have access to our GX attack if we choose to do so. And the GX attack could actually be pretty useful for knocking out this Naganadel if they bench a couple more Pokemon. Naganadel is only doing 80 damage, which isn't super threatening, but it's more than 0, so we definitely... Oh, there's a Beast Energy. That's a lot more threatening.
This is a problem. This is a big problem. Okay, so now we have a problem. Now we have a problem.
It's not a major problem.
It's not a major problem. It's just a nice bite-sized problem. Okay, so I'm thinking we attach to the active, because we could potentially attack with Poipole, with Naganadel if we get into it.
That's unfortunate.
Didn't happen. Okay.
This seems like a retreat and sack a Poipole hand.
It really does, which is unfortunate because I like Poipoles. But, you know...
It is unfortunate. We've got enough Poipoles down that we can sacrifice one and still get some more next turn to be able to pull off an attack. It's a little unfortunate that we missed the attack this turn, but to be fair, doing 110 damage to this Naganadel isn't really that big a deal. I mean, it's nice, but the real important thing is that we get the attack off next turn.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we had have done the 110, then we might have been able to like make a crazy Volcanion Prism play, but that would have been asking for a lot. And our opponent just got a little bit lucky there, finding the Beast Energy to threaten the 2-hit. Having to use a Welder here, though, on the Poipole is good for us. It means that they have less resources for later, but there's lots of energy in play. So if they want to be able to do big damage, they're going to be able to do it. It's going to be really easy for them.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like the fact that they've got the Beast Energy in play. I mean, obviously it sucks they're able to apply so much pressure to our Keldeo, but now that Beast Energy is on the board, we know they're not going to be able to just randomly put it down on the 3-price turn to 1-hit KO a Keldeo. We're ready for it now, and we know that that Beast Energy is exactly where we want it to be, which is hopefully going to be in the discard after this turn.
And the best thing here is that we are good to go finding a whole bunch of stuff. We can actually Ultra Space to find a Naganadel here, which is quite strong. We're going to be able to Mysterious Treasure to find another Naganadel. I'm kind of trying to toss up here whether it's the Magikarp Wailord or the Quagsire that goes. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Magikarp Wailord, we probably don't want to bench just because if they do ever get to knock it out, it's going to be 3 easy price cards for them. It could be useful in the late game, but I think Keldeo is going to be good enough.
I think realistically it's not going to be that big of a deal.
The real question is, what's that last bench space going to be? Do we want to keep it open, or do we want to fill up another Poipole or Volcanion?
Yeah, well, if we choose to go with the second Poipole, then the third Poipole, sorry, then we obviously are going to have plenty of energy to put in play. But if we don't bench another attacker, then we might find ourselves in a bit of trouble in the next turn or so. Part of me wants to put the Volcanion down, just because I feel like it could be a pretty strong attacker next turn, regardless of what happens. We could we could just Lily for 3. Like, it's not the end of the world if we choose to do that.
The Volcanion does have 160 HP, which is also pretty nice, because even if opponent is able to knock it out with Blacephalon, they're going to be forced to discard 4 energy to do so, which is quite a lot for one prize card.
Yeah, I think the Volcanian's coming down now after that hand, and we'll just Resolute Blade for knockout on this Naganadel. We'll remove the Beast Energy.
And yeah, I'm guessing our opponent's going to use a Naganadel to knock out our Keldeo. We're down to 3 prize cards, so we'll have to be a little careful of that turning point after that. But since they've used that Beast Energy, our Keldeo should be relatively safe. Once we get past that turning point turn, I think we'll be able to kind of very easily win with Keldeo as long as our opponent doesn't get an insane custom catcher turn. Putting the Dedenne down might punish us later on, but if we're careful, I think we should be okay here.
Yeah, we could be potentially okay. We could get like a cheeky second custom catcher here, which would be really strong to get ourselves the Naganadel into the active. The Blacephalon into the active. Obviously the Mew has come down, so Volcanian's second effect isn't going to be that big of a deal. But hey, knocking out a Blacephalon is pretty strong. It just depends on how we actually want to go about this here. I am worried about the Dedenne, but that's okay. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we could, if we want to, just promote the Naganadel and knock them out with Naganadel, but we don't really want to give them access to an easy prize card. Our opponent is on 3, so we really want to stop them from taking another prize since we know they can take a knockout on the Dedenne later on. Hopefully we can just randomly draw into a double custom catcher here off Zympia.
Oh, we did. We just didn't find any energy.
That's kind of worse.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we got the clutch custom, but we didn't get anything else. We could be in a bit of trouble here. We'll charge up just for fun.
Maybe we should have put that Poipole down after all, because we actually drew the Naganadel off the Zympia as well.
Maybe we should have. Oh well.
I don't think it's even an option for us to go for a custom catcher draw effect right now, is there?
We could potentially we can draw for 1 if we choose to put down a Keldeo. So like we can comb something away and not get anything, play the Keldeo and then custom for 1.
Yeah, but is that worth it? I mean, if we draw an energy, what are we doing? Just 100 damage to an Naganadel? That's not really worth it, I would say.
Yeah, I think this is although if we do draw an energy, then we can at least take a knockout on the Blacephalon. So
I think our best play is probably just to let them take out this Volcanion. And
I refuse. I refuse to allow them to do it.
You're gonna refuse, eh?
I'm refusing. Oh, I better do it. It's fine. There's that part of me that just wants to draw cards, but it's fine.
Well, hey, we'll get to draw cards next turn, alright? We'll draw 2 prize cards.
We probably should have put the Keldeo down. Whoops. Oh well.
Probably should have, but we don't need to because we'll be able to get 4 energy onto the board, so we can pay 1 a retreat and then 3 onto the Keldeo regardless. So no matter what, if our opponent doesn't play a reset stamp, we do have access to 2 prize cards next turn. And our opponent's going to lose pretty much all of the energy from their board once we take out this Blacephalon. Though we do need to be mindful of the fact we will be entering the Beast Ring turn.
Yeah, this game is looking like a bit of a lost cause here, especially now that they've got the Keldeo GX down as well. They're potentially drawing 6 cards a turn without playing a supporter, and this is where Blacephalon gets really, really strong. They're actually going to Dedenne here as well, so, or at least grab Dedenne here, so they're going to be able to find a ton of Beast Rings over the next couple of turns. I'd love to just get a top deck of a nice little reset stamp just to get rid of all these cards. That would be pretty strong, but I'm not feeling particularly comfortable. This feels like a
well, considering we don't run that card, I don't think the chances of drawing a reset stamp is very likely.
It's gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. We're somehow gonna pull a win out here. I don't know how. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen.
Well, here's what I'm thinking: the fact that they just benched a Turtonator kind of eliminates any small win conditions that we still had. If we were gonna win, it would have been because our opponent can't knock out a Keldeo, but our opponent revealing they're ready for this matchup. They've got the Tech Turtonator in the deck, and that's gonna pretty much guarantee that they've got all the answers they need to win this game.
It's not gonna stop me from taking a knockout on the Blacephalon, though. I'm sure as hell gonna do that.
We're certainly going to go out with a bang.
I refuse to leave that Blacephalon on the field of play.
Putting the Keldeo active does mean their opponent is only a welder and an attachment away from winning the game with Turtonator, and They have a lot of cards in their hand, so I feel like I'd be pretty confident in their abilities to get this knockout. But hey, maybe they'll miss it, and if they do, then we might be able to take one more prize before we lose.
They don't have it. They don't have it. They weren't expecting it. They aren't building their hand size up for a big turn to win the game. That would be ridiculous.
Are they going to promote the Turtonator?
No, they're going to promote the Keldeo GX. The Keldeo GX is the go. They're just going to double base ring to it. They don't even need double base ring. They can just base ring and then attach and take a knockout on the Deno to win.
Pretty much any combination of cards. If they had a 3-card hand, they could probably just win the game.
I'm 90% sure that as long as they don't promote Mew, they've got a way to win this game with pretty much every one of the cards that they're holding. They should be fine.
But you have forgotten about our secret win condition. They could get timed out.
They could, yes, that is the key. We could potentially just time our opponent out sitting here doing nothing. So we'll wait and see.
Game plan. It's looking pretty likely at this point.
Not a lot is going on.
They're just choosing, how do I want to win this game? They've got 3 or 4 different ways to win the game on this turn. They could use Turtonator, they could use Naganadel, they could use even Custom Catcher potentially. Not that they need to use Custom Catcher, but our opponent's really struggling to decide which one's the best.
And in the end, just choosing the Naganadel with a ton of energy on it already. It's good, because it means it's got free retreat, effectively. Although that did take a long time, that could potentially be the automatic promotion. We will wait and see if our 1 win condition comes through. It's looking pretty good. Nothing's happening. I wish that there was a similar win condition in tournaments, like maybe every now and then someone's mother would come in and call them for dinner so that they can't finish their game on PTCGO. So you just win a round of Pokemon in like in a regional because someone had to go for tea. That would be great.
That happens all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's never happened to me. I've never seen anyone leave for dinner. Obviously, it obviously happens. Like, that'd be ridiculous to suggest that it doesn't. Do you know what the real funny thing is here, Jordan? That if he is timing out, which it does appear that he is, we can't even knock out this Naganadel.
Yeah, this is unlike the last game where we timed out. We feel like we were probably going to win the game if they didn't time out, but in this game, I feel like this game was pretty much over no matter what happened. Our opponent had to just not play any cards from their hand to have a chance at winning. So
it's okay.
Even though we're possibly going to win this game due to a timeout, it doesn't really feel like it to me.
Nah, this is a little unfair. I'm gonna promote Quagsire and knock it out with that.
It's probably the smartest thing to do at this point.
It's the only way I can see it happening. So we're gonna retreat into Quagsire and move a bunch of energy to it, which means we're going to be doing 140 damage, if I'm correct. We'll take an prize.
Yeah, we could have obviously used the Ganondorf if we wanted to instead to take that knockout, but with the Quagsire active, it does mean that we could maybe apply a double custom catcher pressure to have that Naganadel GX next turn for game with enough charging ups. It could happen.
It could, but you have to remember, of course, that we could potentially win because they don't promote here. So I'm feeling pretty strong. I'm feeling like we're in a good position. We were in a bad position, now we're in effectively game-winning position, which I really like.
If we were actually able to play that turnout realistically, like our opponent actually just had to promote and pass, and we were able to play a reset stamp on that turn, I feel like this game could have actually ended in a win, but not only do we not run reset stamp, but our opponent was never ever in a position where they'd be forced to promote and pass. Let's see if our opponent's back and able to steal the win even after passing an entire turn. I think that
was a leftmost promotion. That is there. They are definitely not there. Oh my goodness! Oh, I can't believe that 2 videos in a row, Jordan. 2 videos in a row. The game that we've played has ended with someone just not rocking up. But, you know...
It's just how we play these days. It's how we get our wins in PTCGO.
Yeah, mate, you gotta rack up on the ladder. You gotta do your best to get those Dawn Wings Necrozmas or whatever's at the top of it. What is on the ladder this month? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. The funny thing is, that in this game, even in this situation where they're probably going to be forced to pass the second turn, I think, yep, here it is. I think we still lose this game, even if our opponent came back and like 2 turns later and still would win the game.
Oh dear. That's classic. That is. That's absolute classic stuff. But hey,
I would treat that as a loss.
that was a loss. Yeah. Don't take anything away from that. It's like oh my opponent just got up from the table and walked away. That's what happened there. But
That's just what happens when you verse a Keldeo. Sometimes you just walk away.
It's like, oh, I'm going to put myself in a winning position, then I'm just going to leave. You do whatever. Oh, Judge, there's no one at my table. But hey, that's alright. Thanks, Jordan, for sitting through another interesting matchup like that.
No problem.
And thanks, everyone, for continuing to come back despite the fact that we play half of a game. Or at least we have over the last couple of days. This might be the last video that we see for a day or two, depends on how we go, because if my calculations are correct, this video is coming up on either the day of or the day after our Melbourne special event, so we might miss a day being interstate, but that's okay. If you like the content and you want to see when it comes out, as it comes out, then feel free to subscribe by clicking the sable eye in the middle of the screen right now. On the left-hand side, we have some videos YouTube thinks you'll like, and on the right, we have our Unified Minds playlist, where you can see more half games of Pokemon before our opponent eventually times out. Thanks everyone for coming along, and we'll see you all next time for more from the SAbleyes. Bye.